Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of the Nocturnal Disney podcast's Twilight Thoughts. Why Twilight? Because it's not nighttime just yet. Guys, the first thing I want to do is say thank you for joining me for this first episode. It's going to be something a little bit different than what we usually do here on the Nocturnal Disney podcast. Usually I'm joined by my good friend Chris, but because of our scheduling and just so much news coming out, I've decided to do these shows by myself from the comfort of my very own home as a way to kind of fill in the gaps between the time that me and Chris can't record. So without further ado, let's just jump into it.
Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express Monorail. On behalf of the cast of the Walt Disney World Resort, we'd like to welcome you to the Magic Kingdom.
Back on July 5th, there was a family out in California who went to bed with the dream of going to Disneyland in their hearts, and they were so excited. Kind of like this guy.
You sleep?
No, too excited.
And the next day they went to the park, and they were having fun. They were having a good time. I mean, you're at Disneyland. How can you not have fun at literally the happiest place on earth? It defies expectations entirely. But that's fine. I get it. I really, really do, because I've been to Disney World a number of times where it's hot, it's muggy, it's oppressively hot sometimes, and you're having a good time, but man, little things are getting to you. I remember this one time I was waiting in line for the electrical light parade, and a guy pushed me on accident. He was just trying to get past me, but he pushed me, and it irritated me, Not to the point that I'm about to talk about, but I was aggravated. And had it been maybe 15 degrees cooler, not as much humidity, it wouldn't have bothered me. I would have let it go. It would have literally rolled off my back like the guy did. I've seen people cursing up a storm. I saw one lady throw a diaper bag at her husband and say, "Fine, forget it. If you're not going to help me, we're just going to leave now." She was having a bit of a meltdown. It's something that I've never forgotten because it was so surprising for me to see, because it was literally the first time I had seen that kind of behavior at Walt Disney World. We've heard about people trying to climb the pyramid over in Mexico during Epcot's Food and Wine Festival. We've heard of people doing just ridiculous, stupid things here in Walt Disney World. So I get it. I don't expect people to act perfectly, even though they're in such a magical place, such a wonderful place. But this family, on July 6th, late in the evening, had enough. And honestly, if you're getting to that point, you know you're getting to that point. I obviously wasn't there. I live in Florida. This is how it has been relayed to me. This family was in Toontown, in the shadow of Mickey's house. The Toontown sign, like the Hollywood sign, hanging just off in the distance. And this family decided that right there was the perfect time to have a brawl. Why? Why? That is insanity to me. And I'm not just talking about a couple punches being thrown here and there. No. It's not posturing. It was a knockdown, drag-out fight. It was a brawl. So what apparently happened was this rather hefty woman in a white tank top, we're going to call her Hefty White, decided to spit in this other gentleman's face. He was in a red shirt, we're going to call him Red. Understandably, he did not take very kindly to that, but unlike most people who would have that happen to them and just get a little upset, kind of maybe even go as far as push the person, didn't do that, decided to punch the woman in the face, Hefty White. Well, Hefty White had maybe her boyfriend or maybe her husband, and we're going to call him White because he was wearing a white tank top. Well, now the two of them are squaring off. Hefty White threw her baby in a carriage, rolled them away, said, "Hold my baby." So they got the kid out of there, but now the two of them are squaring off against Red. Well, Red ends up getting a partner come in who we're going to call Tiny Brown. She was wearing a Tiny Brown tank top. So we have Tiny Brown and Red fighting Hefty White and White. A number of punches are thrown. A number of punches land and land really well. Like, they didn't have the best form as fighters, but man, they were landing some hits. So People getting punched in the face, understandably, people are concerned. They're videotaping, and this video can be found on YouTube. Just type in Disneyland Brawl, and it's going to come up for you. And obviously, it's upsetting because, you're in Disneyland. You're in a happy place, kind of like what I already said. Why are you acting like this? Why are you devolving to this kind of behavior? And that's a conversation worth having. But what I really want to know is if you're watching the video, at about the 1 minute mark, a Disneyland janitor comes into view, and he's trying to break everything up. He's pushing people back, like, guys, break it up. We don't need to fight right now, this and this. Disney, as an entity, is aware that a brawl is happening at the 1 minute mark of the video. From that point, the fight stops and starts a number of 4 times, including one where Red punches Hefty White in the face so hard it drops her. Just boom, knocked her out, cold. The fight stops again for a bit. Tiny Brown walks up to Red, punches her in the face, just Superman punches her, knocks her out cold. As he's screaming, I'm gonna go to jail tonight, I'm gonna go to jail tonight, I'm gonna go to jail tonight, he walks over to her and starts grabbing her hair and pulling her across the ground. It's at this point that a number of the Disney guests decide to jump in and restrain the man. I mean, there is one man on each leg, there is another guy on each arm, and one dude just chokes him out, puts him down, puts him to sleep. And that would be fine if you were at a bar, but you're not. You're in Disneyland. Now, the people who stepped in, they needed to step in because this guy was on a rampage. He was putting people out. Granted, all people that were members of his family, but still putting people out nonetheless, right? The video continues and the guy lets him go because, you don't want to kill him, but he lets him go. A couple seconds later, he wakes back up and he stands up and starts throwing punches again. He's not hitting anything at this point because everyone's kind of giving him a wide berth, but he is up and he's ready to fight again. After getting choked out, Red was having none of it. He was on a tear. Well, at this point, we have now hit the 5 minute mark and Disney security is just now showing up. Now, I understand that Disneyland is not a small park. It's not tiny. It's not the size of a mall. But come on, guys. There is a brawl happening between a family, putting other patrons at risk. And your security team takes over 4 minutes to get there. And I say over 4 because I know that janitor radioed this fight in before he even stepped in to break everything up. So over 4 minutes to get to the site of a brawl that was so bad that other people had to jump in and restrain another man. Like, that is insane to me. That is insane to me. I don't think that would ever happen here in Walt Disney World. Not saying that there wouldn't be a fight because people are dumb everywhere, but I believe that Disney World security is tighter than Disneyland's, especially after seeing this video. This video went on far too long. When I saw that it was a 5 minute video, I was like, oh, well, clearly they're gonna show the man getting arrested and taken away and this and this. No. Security shows up, video stops. It's ridiculous. Now, I don't know if Disneyland has a little bit more lax security than Walt Disney World does because it's more of a locals park and not so much of a tourist park. But, oh my goodness, that is just, it seems far too long. I mean, who knows? Maybe I am completely inaccurate. Maybe it would take 4 minutes anywhere because they have to assess the situation. And maybe that's what they were doing. But from an outsider's perspective, just looking in on what was going on, that needed to be stopped, and that needed to be stopped much, much quicker than what it was. Now, as of right now, as far as I know, there's been no charges pressed against the family. It's a family, so everyone's, I'm not going to press charges. But that might not remain true, you know what I'm saying? Because, hey, we have a bunch of video evidence of this guy punching a bunch of people in the face. This guy needs to go to jail. Who knows? I don't know, but as of right now, nothing has happened. Now, the thing that I really, really want to know is your guys' thoughts on this. I know this happened a while ago, it happened 9 days ago at this point, but I am really, really curious as to your guys' thoughts on what happened here. Was this just a miscommunication between the security guards and the janitor. Hey, we thought the janitor had it under control. We thought he broke up the fight. Clearly he didn't. Once we found that out, we got there as quick as we could. Is this something that's normal? If anybody lives out in California or goes to Disneyland regularly, I would love to hear from you and find out a little bit more about their security situation. Do they have the plainclothes security? Do they have the metal detectors that they have out here before you go into the park? Do they have the pat downs? Do they have the bag checks? I'm really interested to hear that, especially after saying this. And granted, this is something that's new. We've never seen anything like this bad before coming out of Disneyland or Disney World or whatever. But especially in the world of the internet, you would assume that something like this would happen maybe more often. We would see it more often. We would hear about it more often. It's amazing that we don't. Like I said, you put people in Disneyland or Disney World and emotions do run high, good and negative. People are hot, people are cranky because they didn't get a whole lot of sleep the night before. They were on a red-eye plane coming in. They went right from the airport to the park. Any number of things. It doesn't matter because that doesn't excuse this type of behavior. But I am curious. What are your guys' thoughts on this whole event? Please let me know in the comment section down below. Send me a message. If you liked what I did here tonight, please like, favorite, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it if you could leave a rating for me on my podcast feed. I would really appreciate that as well. It does help us. And for what it's worth, if you do leave a 5-star review on the main show, I'll read it at the end of the episode. Guys, thanks again so very, very much. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you sticking it out with me. I don't know if this is going to be the regular format of this show, but it's definitely going to be the format for the next 4 episodes coming out because I'm recording them all at the same time. There you go. A little bit of behind-the-scenes podcast magic for you. Enjoy it. Anyway, guys, you can find Twilight Thoughts and the Nocturnal Disney podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, and SoundCloud. I'm getting a little bit better with Twitter, not the best with it. I'm usually on Instagram more than I am on Twitter, but I try to cross-post, so you might see more. So anyway, guys, from the bottom of my heart,
thank you for listening to Nocturnal Disney Podcast. Bye-bye.